First of all, let me just say hello, everyone. Welcome to the Strand webinar. My name is Sophie Tidrick. I am the Vice President and Development Director of the Strand. This will be the first in a series of webinars to introduce the Strand to our clients, agents, and any interested parties. Today's webinar will be a discussion on the inspiration, site selection, and project concept of Turks and Caicos' newest luxury development, the Strand. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to give people a chance to kind of jump on in here, but please let me know in the questions area if you have any trouble hearing me or any of our panelists. Please also send us some questions into the chat box, and we will have some time at the very end to answer those. I want to start off by introducing our panelists today. Firstly, we have John Fair, who is the developer and managing director of the Strand. John is the visionary developer behind Turks and Caicos' award-winning Grace Bay Club and Esperanza Resort in Cabo San Lucas. Hey, John, how are you?
Great, Sophie, thanks. It's a great opportunity to have a chance to talk about the Strand to everybody. But we're pretty excited. I just want to say real quickly, we started finally getting our building permits, and yesterday we actually broke ground on our first residences. We're also working on the marina as we speak. And we think by the end of the year, we're going to have the building permits for the entire project. So that's exciting stuff for us. Thanks.
Yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks, but a nice way to kind of kick off the holidays with all of that action. I also want to introduce Rafael Amuchastegui, the president of internationally renowned RAD Architecture based in Miami and Cordova, Argentina. Rafa and his team have had years of experience in the Turks and Caicos Islands. They were the design team behind the Palms and Shore Club, which most recently won the most Instagrammable resort in the world. How are you doing, Rafa?
Hi, guys. Great to be here. Super excited to hear the news that the construction has started. And super excited to talk about the project. It's a very, very dear project to us.
Thanks, Rafa. Thanks for being here. I also want to introduce Nina Ziegenthaler. She's a vice president and owner of Turks and Caicos Sotheby's International Realty. Nina remains the #1 producer in the TCI, boosting over 100 million in sale production annually. Welcome, Nina.
Thanks, Sophie.
Finally, I would like to introduce Joe Zom, the president and owner at Turks and Caicos Sotheby's International Realty. It's Turks and Caicos' leading brokerage. Hi, Joe. How are you?
Hi, Sophie. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to the upcoming webinar.
Thanks for being here. Joe, you and Nina and John Fair have a very long history of working together. Can you tell us a bit about what you remember from meeting John all those years ago on Grace Bay?
Yeah, I do. John was kind of the fulcrum of the new wave of development. I think we had suffered through the mid-90s and made our first, small steps towards the modern era of development with a few projects that I was involved in. And we had a commonality in that I started my career in the mountains in Colorado, and John was a Colorado guy. So their group bought Grace Bay Club and had a very strong vision with the villas at Grace Bay Club. With Mark Durlia, we had tremendous success led by John and his group. And the villas sold out quickly. And then John brought Nina and I into a room and said, look, we're going to do a new project. It's going to be next door. It's going to be 22 units, and they're going to start at $2.8 million. I want you to trust me. It's going to be great. And Nina and I were petrified because it was far more than the market had ever seen before, not even close. But they had a strong concept of having more residential type condominiums, only 22 with the estate of Grace Bay Club with 70 feet of width each. And it was an enormous success and sold out much more quickly and at a higher yield than we ever thought. And that's when I filed away. John knows what he's doing. He's able to look into the future and have some real vision into the market. So that started a long time relationship and friendship that had its lull period during the recessionary period after 2009. But when John brought me and Nina and our team, the Strand, we just thought it was a tremendous vision for the jurisdiction, as we had seen these areas beyond Grace Bay really start to deliver traction in the luxury villa segment. So we thought that John's vision of the Strand, with Raf's great help, was the next great thing. And so, well, with that as a backdrop, I would like to introduce John.
Thanks, Joe. So a little description of what the Strand's about. I call it a residential resort. And that means that it's homes and townhomes and custom lots with resort style amenities, a true community and sense of place. And we're trying to design this and create it with timeless handcrafted architecture. So, and then the other thing we do is instead of having a strata or anything, we're organizing it as a club. So it's going to have very much of a private club feel. And there are other resorts kind of like this in top destinations throughout North America, but there's nothing like this in Turks and Caicos, and I thought it was time. And that was sort of the genesis.
Yeah. John, do you think you could speak to a little bit about finding the site and describe it to us of this beautiful bay in Cooper Jack?
Yeah, so I just couldn't believe how fortunate we were to be able to get a site like this. That's a nice shot of it. And that's Cooper Jack Bay and the Caicos banks beyond. This site is right in the middle of Providenciales on the south side. It's so well located, yet it's completely undeveloped and untouched. And so I had an opportunity to assemble 2,330 feet of ocean frontage on this beautiful, pristine, untouched little bay that's very protected. And better yet, it has great elevation. The units, all the residences, average 25 feet above high tide. So you have these incredible views and this amazing intimacy and immediacy to the water that's very unique in Turks and Caicos that you can't frankly get on the Grace Bay side. So it's so hard to assemble a piece of property that has enough size and enough frontage to really create a sense of place. That's what made this really unique.
And John, where did you get the design inspiration from based upon what you saw as the attributes of the site?
So it's funny because Turks has always historically, first it was this colonial architecture for a long time. And then recently it started moving towards some very modern architecture. Well, my favorite architecture is, and what really excites me, and I think really stands the test of time, is when you combine old world craftsmanship and materials with modern geometry and spaces. And so I really wanted to try to do something like that because I feel like that is beautiful the day it's done and even more beautiful 50 years later, 100 years later. So I kind of took inspiration from Mykonos, Ibiza, a little bit from the west coast of Mexico. And then I came to Rafa and I said, Rafa, here's the palette, here's kind of the general idea. Now, guess what you get to do? I'm going to let you figure out how we're going to make this from the land and how we're going to make this be from Turks and Caicos in the Caribbean. And so with that, Rafa, why don't you talk a little bit about that? Because I'm thrilled, by the way, with what you did. I think it came out fantastic. Rafa?
You're still on mute there.
Sorry, I have some construction over here, and I mute my phone, so I apologize. And my microphone. Super excited to be part of this. The challenge that John put in our hands was extremely well taken because we had an opportunity to see the site in the previous time with somebody that owned part of that land that John was able to collect. So we had already kind of had a way to look at the land. So when John gave us the call and said that he was looking at this, we were super excited because we felt that we had a running start. And the vision that John was bringing to us and the idea of making the project be something that has very much roots in the community, roots in the Caribbean. For us was very important, and it's the new Caribbean architecture for the 21st century. We feel that the old Caribbean architecture came from Europe, and I think we needed to come with something that was more, even more local, more realistic. All the materials we're using are things you get from the local area, like the coral stone that comes from the Dominican Republic. All these limestones and stones that feel very, very much at home in this area. The rustic quality of the timber, that's something that John was very, very instrumental in bringing into the project. We had a little bit of a slightly more architectural character, and he was really good in putting that spice into the things that we were bringing in, and just accentuating a little bit more of that handcrafted quality that the architecture will have. So it makes it very much coming from the ground and be more humane, I guess, in a certain way. It's the relaxed sophistication that can be brought in through all this junction of materials, and also talking a little bit, since I'm going through this, talking about the different things that we've gone through. One is making sure that the project has roots and feels like it's growing from the land, that it's not a UFO that landed from another faraway land. The second one was making sure that it has the roots in the Caribbean, that was local. Then what John mentioned earlier, the new and the old, how we can take some of the traditional materials and traditional character of some elements and bringing some more contemporary living and make them blend into something very, very unique and special. Other things that we've done that I think it's very key to the design is the expansion of the interiors onto the exterior and vice versa, trying to make them as seamless as we can. And the lifestyle in Turks and Caicos allows you to do that on a daily basis. And it's something that, coming from Miami, where I live, we live under air conditioning. And yes, we sort of have a little bit of that, but you can really take it into a superlative way and make it something that you don't know where the edge is unless you really want to enclose it maybe at night to go to sleep, or it's a storm that comes through and you just want to have a little bit of a shelter. Otherwise, it is all the time, always open, and that is something that through the over 20 years that I've been coming to Turks and Caicos, I've fallen in love with the ability to be able to do that. So it's super excited to take one more step beyond where we've been taking all these ideas. And thank you, John, for the opportunity.
Well, I have everybody, it's very cliched anymore. Everybody talks about their indoors and outdoors. And what I find too often is that they'll design a pretty dramatic space with big doors that disappear looking out. But once you step outside, it's just kind of a typical pool deck with pool chairs. And I really wanted to create something more elegant and more gracious than that. And I think we've been able to do that really well between Rafa and Francisco Jove, the interior designer, where you can see in this regard, you can't really tell. It's just as elegant on the outdoor terrace as on the inside. You have a beautiful wet bar and all that. And you end up with that much more fabulous living and entertaining space too. Another thing I want to point out is that I'm kind of obsessed with, probably from my 20 years of developing in Mexico, is I love courtyards. And I feel like courtyards are an opportunity to create a very gracious entry into a home. And in addition, you have all this additional beautiful living space. So in this case, this is one of our luxury residences. It's a jacuzzi in the foreground, and that's all Indonesian Bali stone, tile in the pool. That's a second pool next to the jacuzzi, a family room on the left, and around the corner, you can't see it, is an outdoor kitchen and alfresco dining. But it's just an opportunity to create a really special sense of entry and additional, living spaces. There's a rendering of the outdoor kitchen and the alfresco dining.
I think something important to share, John, that we've been talking about amongst ourselves is the detail that you've gone through in making sure that all these renderings are photorealistic. So what we're seeing is pretty much the vision and the direction and the documentation we've been putting together. So the idea is that the real McCoy will look like these renderings, the fabrics, the scale of things. It's all there. This is not just to make believe. This is the vision and what we expect to be able to have people live in.
Yeah, that's a good point. And to give you the viewers how extreme we are in that regard, that's the actual alfresco equipment that's specified. And as you look at these renderings, even from the materials to even the furniture and the fabrics on that furniture, the actual fabrics and the actual furniture that we've specified. So that's the level of thoughtfulness and detail we've gone down to. And these renderings, as Rafa said, these aren't cartoons. This is the real deal. So thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, I think they're awesome. I think the renderings are next gen in terms of the quality, that you really feel that you're there. Turning our attention towards management, back in 2002, John, when you pioneered and launched Grace Bay Club, you were involved in a management program that was more of a hotel management program at a 50-50 split that was very typical of luxury resorts around the world and luxury hotels around the world. You're looking to introduce something different in Turks and Caicos with regard to club-type management of a luxury product. Could you explain that a bit more?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So as a residential resort and organizing this place as a club rather than a strata, HOA, or in a typical five-star hotel vernacular, everything's different about it. Everything's much more personal, and the total focus is on you as the homeowner. It's on your guest, your family. That's what we're here for and how we're focused. And I think that's something that's been a little bit lost in Turks because the rental programs have been so outrageously successful. The developer, kind of is able to stay around and take advantage of that. And sometimes the homeowner gets left out a little bit. I'll just say it that way. And we're trying to turn that completely on its head to where it's all about you as the homeowner. So in doing that, the service is more personal. It's not pretentious because we're not trying to get, we're not the Four Seasons trying to show off what the Four Seasons is. We're trying to be a place that maximizes your enjoyment as a homeowner for you and your family. And rental guests who come in are guests of the club. And there's a subtle nuance and difference to that. But when you come down as a homeowner to this club pool and bar and restaurant, everybody knows you. The staff is like extended family. They know your favorite drink. They know what kind of cigar you like. They know how your wife likes her salad. And, it's going to be that kind of place that you feel super invited and welcome and known and treated well, just like the top private clubs, anywhere in the world. Some of those amenities, by the way, that we have a reception, concierge. In that reception building, we have a beautiful fitness center, boutique. We'll have yoga every day. We have an artist in residence program, which I don't know if that's been done in Turks before or not, but we actually have a 2-bedroom apartment. We'll bring in thought leaders, could be marine biologists, photographers, artists, writers, and for the privilege of staying at the Strand for 5 days or a week, they'll give seminars and interact with our homeowners and their family and guests. It just makes it more stimulating, more fun and interesting. We also have tennis and pickleball. Probably most importantly, we're building a spectacular beach, and we're gonna have, and we're doing that, we're starting right away in January, and where we'll have a beachfront restaurant and bar that'll be second to none in Turks and Caicos. And as you saw, a beautiful club pool that's in the rendering. Another thing we're building is a marina, which you can see on the left-hand side. We'll have about 25 slips. 6 of those go with the 6 custom lots, where they all have about 100 feet of slip space in the back on the canal, in addition to their beach frontage. And then we'll have, actually that's not true, there's 25 besides those, 31 total. So there's plenty of slips for the club and all the homeowners who want to have a boat on site. There's also a club boat. And then we'll have slips for our hand-picked vendors. So for what we think are the top fly fishing, deep sea fishing, family outings, diving vendors, we'll have slips right here where they can be, so our homeowners and guests don't have to go clear across the island or anywhere to jump on board and head out.
John, how will the finances differ, just in broad strokes, between a club environment and the management environment? Well,
we're doing a couple things, and we'll probably get into this in detail in another webinar, but we're doing a couple things that are probably maybe a little bit disruptive in Turks and Caicos, but I've done them elsewhere in the world. It's the splits on rentals is much more favorable. It's an 80-20 split and 5% marketing fee. And then costs are passed through at cost, totally transparent. And the net result to the homeowners, pretty substantial difference. That's one thing. Another thing we do that I think is really important. So imagine the club is like a strata, and the operations and the dues of that are somewhat like a strata. Its personality and character is going to be a little bit different, but the budget's similar. So what we're doing, however, is when somebody comes and rents at the Strand, 5% of that rental rate, 5% of the food and beverage, 5% club fee, which is typically called a resort fee, 100% of that goes back to the club budget and subsidizes the club budget for everybody, whether you rent or not. And at least on paper, we think that's going to knock the dues down by more than 50%. And we think at the end of the day, we will not only have the best services and amenities, but we will have the lowest dues on the island by a substantial margin.
Excellent. Thank you, John. Now it's on to the real estate offerings. And there are basically, 3 components. There are the residences, the luxury and grand residences. There are the villas, and then the private lots. And I would like to turn this over to my partner, Nina Sigenthaler, to give you a background on that.
Thanks, Joe. So just to briefly recap on the real estate availability and offerings, we are going to start with the villas. And there are 3 already under contract and another already reserved. So that leaves availability starting at $2.45 million for a 2-bedroom with a rooftop terrace. And we will soon be introducing a 3-bedroom design option as well, which will be a 3-bed, 4-bath for approximately $3 million. And John really designed these villa concepts, thinking of the owner's stay with the flexibility of renting out either one additional bedroom or both additional bedrooms as a separate lockout concept with full privacy between the suites. And ownership with these is actually by way of fee simple, which means that it is not a strata structure, which a lot of you will be familiar with. And what this essentially means is that you are able to pay stamp duty on the land component only. Cut the story short, it saves you 7% on the stamp duty from your typical 10%. And the 2-bedroom designs are about 1,600 square feet internal and a total of about 3,850 square feet of livable area, including the rooftop terrace. And the 3-bedroom design will feature about 2,000 square feet of air-conditioned space and about 3,870 square feet of total built living area as well. And then, John, I thought, Rafa made a really good point earlier about the renderings and how photorealistic they are down to literally the fabric. And I know you painstakingly went through this with your interior designer. I don't know if you want to add something.
Well, we've been working really hard with our purchasing agents to price all this out, by the way, and it's going very well. It's actually been very pleased. It's the numbers are coming in on or a little bit under budget, actually, of what I expected. So happy about that, because we're certainly not sacrificing any quality. Our interior designer is terrific. He just finished the Four Seasons residences in Papagayo and Costa Rica. And these are the actual materials. You don't have to, by the way, you don't have to take this furniture package. You can do whatever you want. So, and you can rent or not rent. You can live here. You can, it's yours. We're not forcing anybody to do anything they don't want to do. So, but we do offer beautiful furniture packages designed by Francisco. He's willing to customize them however anybody wants as well.
Thanks for that, John. So if we can move on to the luxury residences. And there are 4 actually already sold and reserved, which leaves only 2 available starting at $8.5 million. And the designs feature 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, 2 pools, including the oceanfront infinity pool and the courtyard pool, and a jacuzzi. And the areas include approximately 5,500 interior AC square feet and under roof, and about 10,500 square feet of total constructed living area. Each lot is unique and has access to private pocket beaches. And again, stamp duty on these is on the lot only, which accounts for 30% of the total value. And if we're on to the grand residences, we actually only have 3 left here as well at 10 million each. And they are 6-bedroom, 7-bathroom designs, again with 2 pools, including the infinity oceanfront pool and the courtyard pool. And they have the option of additional courtyard cottages as well, by the way. So this is about 7,300 air-conditioned square feet and over 10,000 of square feet under roof, with a total of 14,000 square feet of total living constructed area.
If I could interject for just a second on the grands, they really are pretty grand. And I think the master bedroom on these grands are, it's got to be one of the greatest bedrooms in all of Turks and Caicos. I think Rafa would probably have to agree. It's just huge and spectacular with this incredible terrace. Even has an outdoor bathtub, and you have an optional elevator that everything is pre-wired and built in. If you don't use the elevator, take the elevator cap. It's just a nice storage closet, but everything's preset for an elevator as well. So they're pretty spectacular. And I want to point out, Nina's going to talk about the custom lots in a minute. most of the custom lot interest in buyers, including myself, by the way, are planning on taking a luxury or grand and putting it on a custom lot, and then maybe making some, minor changes and change orders to it. But
John, I thought that it would be interesting to also mention the ability to have a dinner and entertain in all the different areas that you have, because the houses are set up in such a way that you will be able to have a main dining in the living room. You have an amazing dining experience with a bar on the terraces looking at the sea. So it's a coastal living extravaganza. And then if you want, or if it's a windy day, or if you just want something a little bit more cozy, you have the courtyard dining experience. And this allows you to have breakfast in one place, lunch in another place, dinner in a different place. So you don't feel that you're always living in the same places. At the same time that they accommodate a bit of the rhythm of the day and make the time in the villas a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, well said, Rafa.
One more thing I want to point out real quick, Rafa, is just touching on. I'd like to get into it more in another webinar, but touching on some of our sustainability features. First of all, we're designing these as smart homes. All of the outlets and switches are smart switches and outlets. Mm-hmm. The backbone's all in place to do anything in the world you want, to be able to control everything from your drapes to your thermostats to you name it, from wherever you are in the world. But also we have an extensive solar program, and it's optional. We just encourage everybody to do it, and so far everybody is. The solar packages for the grand and the luxuries will provide over 70% of your total power and come with Tesla power walls. So it's a pretty cool program. And then on the villas, we have solar as well. We're not using the power walls for the villas. So it'll heat your pool by day at the villas, and it'll do your air conditioning by day, but at night you'll be on the regular grid. But we think at the end of the day, it might be the most extensive solar program of any project like this anywhere in the Caribbean, frankly. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, another item that it's almost for us working in Turks and Caicos, just because the area pretty much uses that, but it's very unusual for the rest of the world, is we're catching the rainwater, and we're also reusing all the wastewater and turning it into water quality for irrigation. So this brings another sustainable side of things I think it's very important and not very well known in general, how sustainable the way in which we need to design in Turks and Caicos is.
Yeah, good point. So sorry, Nina, you talked about
I was just thinking, I'm really excited for our next webinars as well, where we're going to deep dive a little bit more on each design and landscaping, which we haven't even really touched on. But in any event, that brings me to the custom lots, and there are only 3 available. And those are the custom home sites. And I think John spoke to the feedback that we've had so far, the interest in the types of designs that could be featured on each lot. But they range in size from 0.7 to approximately 1.2 acres. And they're really unique as they feature at least 100 feet of frontage on the ocean, as well as frontage on the canal, which allows you to have your own private slip as well. And I'll hand it back over to you, John.
Actually, I'm going to sabotage this for a second. I have 2 things I wanted to bring out. The one is, John, there's 2 aspects that are wonderful that we really haven't touched on. I know we're going to deep dive at subsequent webinars, but the first one is the food and beverage experience, right? That you have this amazingly unique perch to deliver food and beverage. Could you expand on that? And then the second question is, could you just bring, because Nina brought up the boat slips, a bit about the marine and boating experience as well, but let's start with the food and beverage.
So on the food and beverage side, we're busy working on that as we speak. In fact, I've got a meeting at 5 o'clock with our consultant on it. But the idea of the food and beverage, we want to have a beautiful, elegant, but deconstructed outdoor environment. The kitchen is literally buried and is green roofed. It's not just green roofed. You literally won't even be able to tell it's there. And so I want the restaurant itself to be outdoors and flowing with the land on the edge of the Iron Shore. We're going to have this dramatic interface between Iron Shore and the beach we're building, which I think is just incredibly beautiful. And with the restaurant and the bar and the club pool perched right up there on that edge. And what I want it to be is very deconstructed. I want it to feel like you're outdoors on the water's edge in a beautiful garden setting. Some of it will be covered, some of it won't, some of it will be shaded. We're going to have kind of different venues. One area will be slightly more formal. As you move towards the pool, it starts getting less formal. We're going to have an exhibition grill, a wood-fired pizza oven, so that there's something for everybody, and it's the kind of place you're comfortable where you can get beautiful fine dining. We'll focus on the local fish and great produce, but we're also going to have great pizza, great burgers that are char grilled right in front of you, lobsters on the grill, the kind of stuff your kids will want. You feel comfortable going down and there's something for you every day, or if you want to dress up and take it a little further, we'll accommodate you there. The venues are going to vary a lot, and and some of that inspiration kind of comes from the Mykonos Ibiza area, I think, on how we're going to try to do that. But everything from cool set in the rocks gathering spots to toes in the sand on the beach and everything else in between. So that's the general idea of it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. As soon as we get started on the construction, which we're doing right now, then I can start turning my attention towards having fun, perfecting the details of the restaurant, because we're excited about it.
Planning's not fun, John?
Yeah.
And also, if you could just give a brief word on the boating piece.
Yeah, and sorry, just to interject, brief footnote, but this picture that you're showing here is from the estate lot number 4.
Correct. Yeah, I took this with my iPhone. So the boating, is that what you said, Joe?
Yes.
So I'll just start with, on our beach we're building, we'll have lots of beach toys there. So within the bay, it'll be non-motorized. So it'll be paddle boards and kayaks and catamarans and such. And then we'll have a marina where you can have your boats or jet skis or whatever. We're petitioning along with the adjacent marina owner, which is called Southside Marina. You see it over there on the left, to restrict motorized boating to the channel going in and out of the bay. And I don't think we'll have any problem having that ordained. Because what we want to avoid is jet skis and boats going around, where we're swimming or paddleboarding. But we actually have a beautiful 32-foot Boston whaler right now. We'd love to have you come and visit. We'll take you out and have some fun and go fishing. But we'll have that whaler. We're also going to get a fun little just excursion boat that can go out in the bay and have cocktails. The boating's amazing out here. This is on the Caicos banks. So from 20 to 50 miles out, it doesn't get over 12 feet deep. And most of it's, 6 to 10 feet deep. But when it drops off, it creates some of the most dramatic diving. The walls go from, 8 feet deep to 2,000 feet deep. And it creates some of the best deep sea fishing and some of the best diving, in this part of the world. And you can get to top diving spots and top fishing spots in 20 minutes. It's really great. It's a lot of fun. One more thing I'd like to point out in that regard that I really like is that Southside Marina, which is next to us when you come in or out of our marina, has fuel. So we don't have to mess with fuel and all that, and yet it's so convenient. It's just right there for you when you're coming or going. Oh, by the way, our slips, we can take boats up to 50 feet, and then behind the custom residences, it's tricky. You could have up to 100 feet and the canal's deep enough. It's 9 feet. But right now, the entry in, which is controlled by Southside Marina, is only about 6 feet. So that restricts the size of the boats right now to about probably 60 feet. If they can get that, and when they dredge that out some more, might be able to get, 70, 80, 100 foot boats in there.
Awesome.
Well, guys, Joe jumped the gun a little bit. We're going to do our Q&A, but it looks like we only really have one other question in regards to slides. So William, thank you for your question. I'll respond to that and I can send that to you definitely via email. So if anyone else would like some more information or a copy of this presentation, let me know. We'll also be posting it on our YouTube channel. So if you're not already, please follow us on our social media sites. And also check out our website. It's www.thestrandtci.com. It's pretty extensive and pretty thorough. And through that, you can also contact Nina and also our VP of Sales, Thorne Capron. They would love to show you around our site and show you around Turks and Caicos, and if you've never been. So please reach out. If anyone, I see a couple more questions coming in. Let's just see. Okay, sorry, we have a question from Lauren Miller that is saying, what is the timing of opening? Will you be planning and able to host large events?
So we will be opening operationally, like for the restaurant and full rental program. We're probably 18 months, 2 years from away, somewhere in that 18 months to 20 months, 22 months from that. We'll have homes done and some stuff done in the meantime, but really having it open and operational is probably in that 18, 20 month time frame. As far as hosting large events, depends how large you're talking about. We really don't have the venue to do big group stuff, and it's kind of not our target. We would like to be able to host weddings, especially for our homeowners and their families, but more in the 75 to 100 range. I think getting much over that, we may not be the right place for it. So anyway, that's my answer to that. We plan on having lots of parties being organized as a club. We'll have club get-togethers a couple times a week, big barbecues, have bands, parties, for club members and families and guests all the time. There'll probably be, 50, 100, 150 people easily at those. And then somebody said, please share those incredible renderings. The renderings, by the way, are all on the website, including downloadable brochures. You can download virtually every one of those renderings, I believe, right off the website.
Mm-hmm. So. Our next question, we have a question about the government relaxing the vaccine requirements. And although we don't have a direct line for that, I know that our vaccine requirements at the moment are a bit strict. But we do have 80% vaccination on island, which makes it very interesting for lots of people. They want to come and visit Turks and Caicos. I don't think at the moment there's any idea to lessen those requirements, unfortunately. But if you can make it down here, it's safe, and you know that your family and your guests are safe because of those high vaccination rates here. So
I think what I would say in addition to that is, this has been just horrible for all of us in the whole world, this COVID. But I think it's pretty clear Turks and Caicos government has probably handled it better than about anybody in the Caribbean. And that 80% vaccination rate is part of it. They've done a really good job. They've never gotten their back really against the wall on dealing with it. And the net result of that is, Turks is full. This holiday season is going to be incredible. And I know, like at Grace Bay Club, for example, we're doing for 2021, we're going to just about match 2019 numbers, which is the biggest year we've ever had. So that's a testament to how well COVID's been managed here, I believe.
We also have another question from Graham asking in regards to the groins being built for beach creation. John, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So the main beach is going to have a groin that's 175 feet long and a 175-foot T-head on it. We're bringing in about 65,000 yards of sand. We have a mine. We're about to get the permit. We got the ODP on the sand mining, and we're all about to get the DDP in the permit. And so that's where that beach will be as much as 75 feet deep at its deepest, maybe even 80 or 90. And it's going to be as much as 500 feet long. It's a lot of sand. We're bringing in, and by the way, the water is only a foot or two deep anyway at the edge. So this isn't very hard to do. And the currents in there are perfect for us. So then when you go to the residences, the 9 single family homes to the west, right now there's just an absolutely gorgeous low tide beach. It's beautiful. And our number one tenet is don't screw it up. So we're just going to enhance that with creating these little mini groins and taking natural fractured iron shore and just kind of delicately moving it around. It's all engineered. It's already done. And then bring some sand in. And all we're trying to do is take these beautiful low tide pocket beaches and make them so that at high tide, you still have 10 or 20 feet of beach. And they'll feel kind of like, the idea is we're trying to make it feel kind of like the little pocket beaches at Water Key.
Water Key, yeah.
Where you have that 10-foot, that beautiful iron shore edge, and then the little pocket sand beaches at the bottom. I love that. I think it's incredibly beautiful. So they'll really feel like private beaches. You can't say private beaches in Turks and Caicos, but they'll act and feel like private beaches for those homeowners.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Just a comment here from Dee. Thank you, Dee. Thank you for joining us, everybody. If that's all the questions, I will respond to some of you via email and share these images with you all. But I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you to everyone for joining us, and thank you to all of our panelists. I think we really got an idea of how we came from this untouched piece of land to the beautiful designs that we have seen throughout this presentation. Thank you for all of your comments today. I also just want to say, please keep an eye out, because we will be having another webinar that will go into a little bit more detail on the vacation villas, the luxury and grand residences, and also our custom lots. So that should hopefully be happening in the next coming weeks or so. Please be sure to follow us on social media. We do lots of updates there, so follow along with us if you can. I just want to say thank you to everyone, and I hope everyone has a healthy and happy holidays. And thanks, guys.
Sophie.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Holidays. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.